show job. So in this case, we are going to receive, we want an array. This is jobs, and this will be jobs. So we're going to show multiple jobs. This will look like, let's see, return jobs dot, that's the same. Return. So this will be a div. Are you guys familiar with HTML?
No.
Not really.
Okay, so inside of HTML you have containers. So this div is a container. And then what we saw earlier, this p tag, it stands for paragraph. That allows you to create like
Paragraphs.
yeah, basically. So like you see how there's spacing? That's what that p tag did. Okay. And if we look in this HTML, you will see that there are divs around. Oh, there we go. So there's a div around these p tags. So like this is a container for this information. That's all the div does. It's just for sectioning your your code off.
So it's like a class? Or no?
Not exactly, but it's kind of the same idea. Yeah, it's similar, but it's not a class.
Okay.
So we had job.title. Actually, we're gonna make this a little bit bigger, so we'll say h3. So there's also h tags in addition to p tags. They're just different sizes. So h1 is the biggest, h6 is the smallest, and then p is even smaller than h6 usually. But it depends on how you style your stuff. Sometimes the h could be bigger, but that's not important right now.
H is like header, right?
Yeah, they're headers.
Right.
Okay, so we got title, and then we wanted job dot salary and location job dot description. So now if I call this function show jobs and pass in our users array at index 0, which is this one, and then dot jobs. That'll pass this array into this function, which will then do this map. And I'll save it. And then we see this is the job that Wesley applied to. Okay, so this only works for one user because I specified index 0. So we don't want that. So I want you to think about how can we get it so that it will render the jobs for all the different users after I mock some data for it. So I'm going to mock some data for Amy too, and then I'll let you take a shot at this. Okay. Okay.
Would it be 0:1?
What was that?
0:1 within users?
0:1? Like that?
Goes through just up to Amy?
Up to Amy? Oh, the syntax won't work. You have to do a map. So like you have to do something like what we did up here. But let's take a step back and we'll debug it as we go. So we're not just like taking a guess at it. We'll actually see information and respond to what the output is. So I'm going to pass in our users array. And then before I even do any of this, I just want to see, users. So this is now users. So we're just going to delete that. We're going to console log this out. And we want to see, like, what are we working with? There is an error. What's this? I have not seen this error before, so we're going to work through this. Okay. Oh, it's because I'm not returning anything. That's fine. We just wanted to see the user's array in our console. So here we are. So for each user, we have email and then the jobs array. So let's first create a div that contains this information, and then we'll figure out how to render each job for each user. Okay, so if I wanted to render the emails, how would I go about that?
Just the emails?
Yeah, for now. We're going to take it step by step.
Show email?
Yeah, just the email.
Yeah, we like show email.
I deleted that function so that you have to rebuild it. And this time we're going off of the user's object as opposed to what I did. Oh, it's the same actually. So it should look exactly the same as what I just deleted. So
return.
Yep, return.
The email. Or like
users.email.
Okay, users dot
email.
Okay, if we did users.email, it would be, we'll come here and we'll look for an email key on this line, but it doesn't exist. So how would we go through each individual object to get their email key? Yep, okay.
And then
this would be user and arrow. This is a function. It's what we just talked about earlier. Right. And then we're here. So now what?
Return.
Okay.
Do that div thing.
Okay.
And then user.email.
Yeah, that's it. So user.email, and we have our output. Cool. So now we want to add stuff to this div. We want also the job. So in order to do that, we need, what was that?
We do like
And actually, why don't I, oh wait, you don't have this code, so I have to type. Okay. So, and where?
Like inside.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And user.job. So you said job?
Right. That's a right idea, but jobs is an array, so how do we work around that?
So you have to do like a constant set? So we did that before.
Okay, so we're gonna console log out user.jobs. So that we see what we're working with. So it is an array with one object in it. And we want, for now, let's say just the title. So if we're working with an array, we can't access it directly. We have to do what?
Like a constant or like.
So, I mean, you kind of already did it. So like earlier you had a users array and you had to map it to get access to each individual user. This time we have a jobs array and we kind of want to do the same thing. So how would you do that?
Do you pass in, wait, no. Doesn't, no, I don't know.
Okay, so let's ignore that we're inside of this loop, and we just see here that we have a jobs array, and we wanted to render the job title. How would you do that? So
job.title.
but it's an array, so you want to render all the titles. Maybe it'll make more sense if I add another job. So there's two jobs, okay?
Do you do like that bracket 0?
Bracket 0, not quite. I mean, you can, but then we'll run into the problem of it's always going to render the first job and it'll ignore the second and third. So if you wanted to render all three, how would you do that?
No, we're accessing the user. So within there or under there, we probably have to do, would it be like jobs.map job?
Yep, that's it. So return.
Return.
The return is a necessity. If you don't return, then it won't give the information that comes out of this function. So it's the same exact idea. It's just now you're inside of the user and going through the jobs array. Okay, and then this would come in here. So now you have access to both the user and each individual job that comes from the user.jobs array.
And is this like the exercise 3 where we're nesting?
Yeah, this is it. So we have access to this job. We don't know what it is, right? So let's console log it out so that we can verify it. There's a bunch of stuff. So I think it was 3 per person. So this is the 3 jobs that you have. And you want the title. So then how do we display the title underneath the email?
Probably, I guess you could do a paragraph
Okay.
notation and then do job.title.
Perfect. Okay, so we see Wesley, Gmail, software engineer. Now's a good time to change this up so it doesn't look repetitive and confusing. But this is the right idea. You guys are on the right track. First thing I did was I got information from our backend.
Right.
I stored that data inside of a variable, and then I stored that variable inside of a temporary state on our front end, and then I what's a good way to say this without giving it away? I used that variable in order to render the information.